Okay? So basically, you were the mathematician today. I gave you some prompts, but you basically came up with a formula. Pat yourself on the back. Nice job, mathematicians. Here's our formula. Okay? You remember it. You remember using it last year, right? Or you remember that you worked with it. Maybe you don't directly recall how you did it. Okay? But you've at least seen it before. Okay? What is the purpose? Okay, first of all, let's talk about capital letters, lowercase letters. Capital letters stand for angles. Lowercase? Sides. Excellent. So the purpose of the law of sines is to find the measures of all sides and angles of an oblique triangle. What's an oblique triangle?
One that has nothing in common.
I wouldn't say nothing in common because we could have an isosceles triangle, and that would have kind of common. Layton, what did you say?
A non-right triangle.
Okay, a non-right triangle. There is not a right angle. We are rock stars at solving right triangles because you've been doing it for like 4 years now, right? Now we have triangles that don't have a right angle in it. Okay, so we can't use SOHCAHTOA. So we use law of sines. Now, as we go through the law of sines and cosines, there are only specific times that we can use the law of sines, and there are specific times we can use the law of cosines. In order to use the law of sines, it has to be one of these three situations. Angle, angle, side, or angle, side, angle. Basically, two angles and one side, whichever order they appear. Okay, and that's what we'll focus on today. Okay, and then the third case, which we're going to focus on tomorrow, is side-side angle, where we have two sides and an angle that's not in between. Included angle means that angle would be in between the sides. Excluded angle means the angle is not in between the sides, if that makes sense. Okay, so today we're going to focus on these. Tomorrow we're going to look at the side-side angle case. It's what we call the ambiguous case, if you maybe remember that word last year. Okay, you didn't go into very much detail about the ambiguous case. That's what we're going to focus on tomorrow. What? Well, you're going to memorize it. Okay? So I'm going to work through one example of this. I think that's all we need. And then we're going to go through an area formula, and we'll do one example there. And then that's all we have to do today. Okay? So, write this information down. What am I going to make you do with this information? Say it louder, Sarah. Draw it out. Okay, I better see a triangle drawn. And you know what? I don't care what the triangle looks like. It does not have to be accurate. I don't think any of the triangles I ever draw actually match the measurements that I find. We don't know half the measurements anyway. But as long as you can place things where they need to go, it's going to make it easier when you're setting things up. So I'm just going to label some things here. Across from A is side A, across from B is side B, and then here's angle C. What's going to be the first thing we should find? Angle C. It's the easiest thing to find. We know that three angles should add up to be, okay, 180. So we can take 180 and we can subtract out our angles. Okay. Go ahead and get your calculators out. You're going to need them. Yay, you're going to need them. We haven't had our calculators for a little bit, an entire chapter. You're going to need yours every day this week. You can use it on the test. Okay, so what's angle C? 98 degrees. Back in the 90s, there was a band called You guys didn't even know that, did you? Or it was like 2000s, maybe. It was like around the same time as like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Okay. So now, okay, I want to get my calculator up here. Now we need to find our sides. Okay? So what side do we want to find first? Sure, A, it doesn't matter. So the sine of angle A divided by side A is going to equal what pair were we going to have to set it equal to?
B. C.
We're going to have to set it equal to side C because that's the only pair we actually know both of. Okay? So equals the sine of 98 degrees over 18.7. Okay? So we have a proportion to solve. How do we solve proportions? We cross multiply. So we have 18.7 times the sine of 32 degrees equals A times the sine of 98 degrees. Now I need everybody to stop what they're doing. Some of you are trying to go ahead of me. I don't want that. The first thing you need to do is check your mode. Make sure your mode is in what? Degrees. Okay, do that right now. Actually, I don't know what this is in. Okay, now you have fancy calculators. Use that to your advantage. There is no more typing something in, writing down a big decimal, typing something in again, and then writing. Don't write anything until your answer. Okay, so we need to take 18.7 and multiply it by the sine of 32 degrees. Don't write that down. What are we going to have to do with that number? Divided by the sine of 98. Okay, so side A is 10.01. Okay, if you round 18.7 times the sine of 32 degrees to 9.91, your answer will not be accurate, and that bothers me. Okay, you have a nice calculator, use it to your advantage. Okay, now we need to find side B. Okay, so we need to take the sine of 50 degrees over side B. You need to use as much given information as possible. I want you to avoid using any rounded answers. So what do I want you to set this ratio equal to? Okay, the sine of 98 degrees over 18.7. Okay. So now we can solve that proportion. 18.7 times the sine of 50 degrees. If you're going to punch everything in all at once, make sure you close the parentheses. When you press sine, it opens the parentheses. You put your angle in, you close the parentheses, and then you can divide by the sine of 98. So side B is 14.47. Yay! Yes.
So then would this situation be the angle side angle?
Thank you for saying that, Grant. I just blew right past that. Okay, this is, notice how we have two angles and a side. This would be angle, side, angle, because the side is in between the two angles that we know. Okay, and so that is why we can use the log signs. Okay, I blew right past that. That should be the first thing we think about. Right now, I mean, this is the only thing that you know, but when we have all of our tools in our tool belt, the first thing you're going to need to do is say, what's my given information? Angle, side, angle. I need to use the log signs. Okay. Any questions about this? Not too bad, right? Okay. So here we go. This may be familiar to you. You can write only one of these down and be fine. Basically what this is saying is if you have side angle side, the area is 1/2 times those two sides times the sine of the angle. Okay? So you don't necessarily have to write all three of them down if you don't want to. Layton. Okay, so this formula works when we know side, angle, side. These are the two sides that we know. This is the angle that's in between. Okay, so draw a picture so you can make sure that you have the side, angle, side. And then you can just essentially plug and chug. So write down this given information. So if we draw a triangle, A, B, C. C is 102 degrees, B is 52 meters, and A is 90 meters. What information do we know? We know side, angle, side. That was convenient. So our area is 1/2 times the two sides times the sine of the angle in between. Enter into your calculator, please. Kyler, what is our area?
2,288.9.
What would our label be?
Meters.
Square meters. Alright. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left of class. I'd like you to go ahead and get started on this assignment. Okay? When you come tomorrow, you better have more done than what you did here in class. Okay? But I will be walking around to just see if you did your homework or not. Okay? There's not going to be a grade attached to it. I just want to see if you did your homework or not. If you didn't, then I will notice that you did. But I'm going to look.